Okay, so what did you think about this game then?
Mm, First of all, overall, it's the first time I do this kind of in earpiece kind of
Uh-huh.
coding stuff, so it was very difficult for me to actually
Yeah,
think for myself.
it makes
Just
it a little bit hard,
think
yeah.
like where I should be going, what am I doing? I was just
Yeah.
basically running around waiting for you to say something and then follow it up. But
Yeah.
other
So
than that,
they are a little bit
yes.
difficult, but obviously it's more so a case of knowing exactly how to kind of play the style of champion, how they're supposed to be played. And then
Mhm.
obviously from that you can take away, well, okay, I did this in the coaching session, so in the future I can do this because it's similar, stuff like that. So it's a little bit intense, I know. The main reason why I kind of like doing them is purely to see kind of how you think when you're in game, and also to see kind of how proficient you are mechanically, right? Because a lot of the times one of the biggest things that restricts people is the fact that they don't know how to do their combos, or they don't know how to actually execute certain commands and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
overall I think mechanically this went pretty well. What do you think about this overall playstyle? I don't know how much this varies compared to what you usually play.
What I usually do is, I'm not going to say it's the same, of course, because it's not, but
Mm-hmm.
I try to do the same of sticking with one guy and trying
Yep.
to set him up. But I noticed in this game, I was even more abandoning my Ziggs and even more hugging with the Kazakhs, more than
Yeah.
I would usually do.
Yeah.
So,
So the reason
I,
because of it is because obviously Rakan, he is kind of like a melee pick, and if you're against really really long range lanes, it makes it very difficult for you to actually do much inside the laning phase. But if you have something like a Ziggs, who is obviously a very long range pick, as long as the wave isn't in a terrible position when you actually start your roam, then it's okay. And we'll obviously cover this in a little bit more detail when it gets to kind of that point on the VOD. But yeah, basically what we're kind of looking to do as much as possible. Now, it became very clear at the start of this game that the Ziggs didn't really understand how to play lane, right?
yes, right.
And these kind of little telltale signs are the things that as a support you have to pick up on, because even if say you have an ADC that really struggles in lane because they're short range, if say they are completely griefing you inside the laning phase, you just leave. Like it's
Hmm.
as simple as that. You just leave. You get one person so fed that it doesn't matter how strong their bot lane is, they just die. Obviously, ADC is a role that has been pretty punished the entirety of the season by the massive damage creep of the new items, and
Hmm.
also the ability for solo lanes to get more XP. You lose, if I recall correctly, 20% XP just for being in a dual lane. So the XP is already cut by 20% straight away. So it also kind of helps, again, when you're playing champions like Rakan, when you've got things like a Ziggs. Ziggs is primarily a kind of mid-game champion, I'd say. But his late game can be very nice as well, right? Especially with his ultimate, especially around objective control. And his siege is amazing. So one of the things that you can actually do with Ziggs is if he gets solo XP, that's completely fine. That's really, really good for him.
Hmm.
Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Let me just close the window. One
Yes,
sec.
yes.
Sorry about that. Somebody decided to start hammering outside. Gotta love it.
No problem.
Right, so yeah, like I was saying, Ziggs is kind of one of these picks where solo XP is always appreciated on him. But yeah, so this is kind of one of the big kind of things I did notice about your gameplay a lot of the time is there were some times you were a little bit hesitant around what
Yeah,
you
right.
actually want to do, which again, like that's kind of normal, right? The thing is, when you kind of get to diamond, you can get to diamond very much off just punishing mistakes and kind of looking out for the obvious and stuff like that. But there's while you're kind of trying to push for this kind of master tier, you do want to be
Hmm.
making sure that you punish them for even the smallest of mistake, right? So, like for example, the Ezreal should never
Hmm.
ever be autoing this wave. He is completely vulnerable until he's level 2 and he has his E. So with just his Q, as soon as we see that Q, which we do, as soon as we see it come out, we know, okay, he doesn't have E. And he's used his skill point, so we can look to abuse. So here, he's used Q, so now we have to instantly think, we need to punish him now, right? So what we do is we know that he's got a very kind of small attack range. I think it's 525. So as soon as he walks up to these minions, your goal is to just run behind him and just punish him however possible, which we do it. Obviously, we do it a little bit later. But so see here, like this is huge because he's just walked in melee range for no reason.
Yeah, right.
Like he's just completely griefing. So here it's like we want to go. Now the only main thing that I want to mention with this is when you W in, you want to be making sure that your W is covering as much range of their safe route as possible. Now their safe route is always going to be the route that they're going to walk in order to get away from the danger. So like right here, he is always going to walk this way, right? There's nowhere else he can go.
Yes.
So what we want to do, we want to make sure that our W kind of is more on the right side of him. So not that much actually, probably a bit less. So we'll actually just play it to where the W comes out. So here you see just a little bit more to the left here. No big deal. It was still pretty good, but and yeah, and then you know we get him. Very easy. So here, honestly, just flash and get the last hit because your ignite wasn't enough to kill him. So just flash here, get the last hit. It's better for you to secure that kill than it to divulge into what it did, because here we punished very well, but then we got very greedy or hesitant with our flash. And then obviously that meant that he got out with a slither of HP. So we're on Seraphine, so this is like 10 HP. And Ziggs has to use his flash to get forward, which it's more beneficial for you to use your flash than his.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously he gets the first blood. First blood on you is completely fine as well, okay? Because when you're playing sports like this, your goal is to get to those boots as quick as you can. And then as soon as you get to them, you can, you know, start roaming around the map a little bit more heavy. So here, so we do want to kind of... How much have you played ADC?
Not a lot.
Okay, so one thing you can potentially do is play a little bit more ADC. Or just top lane, whatever you find fun. Just lanes where you are required to think more about the lane state, right? Because like here, one of the last things we want to do is last hit the minion. Because we do have 3 casters back here, and I think that's another caster there, right? Yeah, so we do have 4 casters back here. So overall, we do have quite a lot of damage in this wave, but they do have 2 casters here, actually. They have 3 casters here, 2 here. So what we could look to do is we don't really want to hit the wave, you know. So A, we don't want to hit the wave because this is gonna come back in nicely, and B, we don't really want to hit the wave because Ziggs also has TP. So he could have actually saved his TP here. I just walked back, but he decided not to. Doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, just knowing kind of what the lane is going to do and what the wave is going to do in that situation is always a really good thing to know. So here, so this is where we kind of realize that Ziggs is not going to be a carry, you know? So why do you think we realize that?
Because he tried to push the wave or not?
Yeah, so A is trying to push the wave.
Yeah.
The reason, so why is him pushing the wave really bad here? Why do you think?
Because then it will expose us to a gank since I'm low.
So
we have no...
Yeah, that's one thing. So, 1, gank. Xin Zhao is in the bottom side as well. I'm fairly certain at this point in the game he was. Okay, so number 2, what do you...
the enemy is already behind, so if we push
what's the wave actually doing right now?
It's pulling to us.
Yeah, so the wave is also pulling in. So again, pull, defensive, let it pull, play safe, catch waves. And then what's the other reason why he physically can't push the wave? What's restricting him from even doing it, even if he wanted to?
Because he's only level 1, so he doesn't have any pushing power.
Doesn't have his E yet. We know he's taking Q, so he has no push. So because of this, it's like, okay, well, this is really grief, and he doesn't understand how the lane is meant to play out. So because of this, it's like this is our sign that okay, we're gonna leave him. Like we're gonna leave him to it. It's not looking too hot. Now, we
Yes.
do see the Zin's out in... He did actually come from the bottom side, see, here. So when he ganked here, he came from here, which we did mention in the actual game as well. So as soon as we see him come in from there, we know, okay, we're kind of doing the right thing. And also it means that, you know, we can now track where he goes. So one thing that we do is, in this point, like, what are we actually looking at here, you know? What do we need to look at?
I'm not sure.
There's kind of a trick answer. The answer is nothing. There's nothing to actually look at specifically in this kind of situation. Yes. So if we don't have anything to look at on our screen, what do we look at?
Look at other places with information.
Yeah. So we can look at minimap. What else can we do to look at other places for information?
Just switch the camera to other players.
Okay, how do we do that?
Just 1, 2, 3, 4. On my controls, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 to switch between the different players.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so F keys is what I was referring to. But
yeah, that's the standard one.
Yeah, if you've rebound them, it's completely fine. Don't worry. It's whatever's comfortable for you. But yeah, it's just F key around a bit, you know? Have a look what's going on. Like, what's happening with this Yone right now top, you know? Like, is he smashing Urgot? Is Urgot playing the lane bad? Is Zed playing the lane bad? We don't know, right? Because we're not really looking. So as a support, it's very important that you start looking at kind of these things. Also, another thing that you can do is right here in the chat, I think this is Yone Flash.
Yeah, right.
Or it might be Xerath. I think it's Xerath. So one thing that you can do as well is, in this no moment where you've got nothing to do, just quickly open up your chat and just mid F, and I don't know what time, so 3, so 7:10 if it was like right now, right? Because I can't see the timestamp. But yeah, just mid F10, and then what you want to do is control A, and then C, copy it, and then every, say, 30 seconds, just paste it again. So just control P, and then what you'll do is, it might not help you 9 out of 10 games, right? It might do absolutely nothing, but on the one game that it does do something, that could potentially result in your jungler going and getting a kill, which when you've got assassins like Kha'Zix, that one kill is that earlier Dirk spike. And, you know, you can also track things for yourself, right? So if, say, for example, we go to focus his mid lane, which we did say at the start, we know, you know, they've got no flash, so we can punish that, you know. So make sure you're always kind of making use of your time as much as possible.
Yes.
Now the next big thing is here. We do have full HP, full mana. We don't have E, so we did use it a little bit too early here. So why didn't we want to use E here, do you think? Why do you think it was a little bit bad to use E, just for that shield on him from that little bit of poke?
Because now I have no way of getting back. If I were to W in to zone them, I have no way to get back to safety myself.
So one thing is, obviously, Ezreal's Q was going wide anyway. He was missing it. So all we really got rid of is a little bit of Q damage from Seraphine, which, you know, really wasn't that big. And now, yeah, they are free to open up on you. So sometimes the fear of you having abilities available is more dangerous than you actually using them, right? So, like, for example, your W, if you just waste it, they know that they have an 18-second window at level 1 where they can just run you down. So we end up in kind of like a position here where it's like, okay, if they actually take note of cooldowns and stuff like that, it's pretty dangerous. So here we could have obviously W'd the Ezreal and then E'd back, and we could have potentially even got a kill there, you know? So that E did kind of grief it a little bit, but here your main goal is to not reset. You just want to get as much gold as possible. Even though the Ziggs has died, he did kind of get caught multiple times, and his positioning has been really bad. Like right here, there's no way that he should ever be past this minion line in this kind of area when this is pulling into him, right? So these are kind of indicators that he's not really playing too well. He might be first time Ziggs, like, see, he's walking past a minion wave. So obviously, we could have potentially done something more, but at the end of the day, he was still the one that kind of messed up. So what we're looking to do is just keep farming. And again, we've accepted that Ziggs is not going to be the carry. Your farming on the tower was actually pretty nice. The only thing here is when they're this low, what you want to try and do is just auto them at the like straight away as the tower is going to hit them. Sometimes you'll actually get it, sometimes you won't. Like,
you're right.
And then here, like, we're full HP, full mana. We really don't have anything to reset for, and we still need them boots, right? So making sure you're being efficient with your resets is always very, very important. So you want to set multiple kind of reset zones. So first one is going to be a min zone. So just a minimum. Whoa, I can't, right. So it's just a minimum reset gold. So, you know, let's say, you know, maybe 300 gold for normal boots. You know, overall, this is one thing that you want to avoid. It's only something that if you cannot stay in lane, it's valuable. So this is like aggression level 0. So this is like aggression level 1, which is the second kind of stage, which is your okay amount. So this will be, say for example, if you were to back and get an Antome and some boots, okay, it's okay, but it's not good, right? And then this at this point you can go a little bit more aggressive, because, you know, if say a fight goes bad, then it's not going to be the end of the world because you've still got things to reset for. Then you've got aggression level 2, which is the main one, and this is going to be your optimal back. So this is like very, very optimal. This is basically your 950 gold. That's enough for boots. As soon as you've done that, got that 950 gold, you can use your mana, you can use your health on one kind of big trade. As long as you don't die, you could potentially maybe get a kill, or, you know, you can just relieve some pressure for your reset. And then obviously we have kind of like a limit test zone, which is, you know, it's probably not advised for solo queue, but if you're in, say, flex or normals, your limit test zone will be, you know, can you be greedy? If you're playing jungle, can you potentially clear away these 3 camps because you think they're in this top side? Stuff like that, you know. So this is kind of where you always want to be resetting, is the most kind of optimal point for you in terms of overall kind of gold value.
Yes.
So right here, the wave is pushed in. There's nothing for us to really do. So right here, our first goal should be, again, look at the map. So again, F keys, look at the map. What do we see? The Xerath is pushed in against a Zed. So, okay, great for us. Xerath obviously has push over Zed, but Zed has kill pressure because he's an assassin. So what you want to do is, so A, walking here was kind of bad because this tower is now going to reveal you walking like this. So we should just walk from here, go around, walk up through the jungle, get some vision throughout the jungle as we go. So you could have also put a ward, say here, just on this tip, and then one, say here, just so that you've got this entire area covered, which is pretty nice. And, you know, you're getting your wards slightly deeper, so you know where the Xin is on the map. The wards in lane, like if you say ward here, okay, fine, I guess, but you can only really ward, say, here if you're under pressure. If you're the one in the dominant position and you're doing the kind of, you're pulling the strings, which, again, we are in this game. And we want to get those deep visions, because then, say, for example, we see Xin on this, and then he starts walking this way. It's like, okay, we just play safe until we see him walk back over this, right? Or we see him, say, in 30 seconds, or say 40 seconds in top lane. It's like, okay, we're fine. So, yeah, the warding is not too bad. You do have some kind of good ward spots, which we'll mention later. But, yeah, this one's good. So, here... so we were a little bit slow on this, so we don't really need to walk into, like, out of our way as much, but this was fine, So here what we do is we instantly go, but what do you think we should have done to alert Zed that we're coming? So this Zed right now, ping. So this Zed right now is trying to avoid all kinds of poke from the Xerath. So his kind of, especially because it's diamond, you know, his kind of main goal is to be like, okay, I need to avoid this poke, bump, bump, bump. So he's tunnel vision very much on his laning phase. He's probably not looking at his minimap. So if you ping to go in like crazy, he's going to be like, oh, who's pinging me? What the hell? And then he's going to look at his minimap and be like, oh, wait, Rakan's here. And then he's going to go on. And then what we could have potentially done is we could have used Flash W to get on top of the Xerath.
You're right.
Because, say, for example, we use our Flash W. We already know from earlier, Xerath's flash is down until I think it's about 6 minutes 30. So we know that he has no flash right now. So if we get on top of him and knock him up, he's dead, you know?
Yeah, right.
Obviously, there's only 3 minions for Zed to actually farm, but I purely think this was just Zed not paying attention to the minimap. So again, pings are incredibly important. If you start using pings effectively, you'll literally go up a division or 2. Purely off pings.
Yes.
Like, D2 will become way easier. It's so crazy how it's such a simple thing. And then here, obviously, we've made this roam. We have a okay wave in bot. Xerath is not really able to move. So we can just help the Kazakhs with this. Now, obviously the Zin does jump over, but again, this is completely fine. Our flash does come in handy here. We didn't quite have enough fancy feet there, unfortunately.
Yes.
But it's okay. They do get that one, but it's whatever. So at this point again, so why do you think at this point we're coming into bot lane? So why do you think at this stage here, I told you, actually this was pretty important. So here again, this is just kind of a case of, so the way we were looking was to just go straight into bot lane, right? But there's nobody really in bot lane, and there's no real reason for us to be there in this moment, because the Ziggs isn't there, and the Kazakhs is here, and red is available, and we know Zin is here because it's just been a fight, right? So we want to just stay with the Kazakhs and just take the 2v1 in the jungle. Now, the jungle dynamic is so important in the game at the moment, because especially in this game, right, it's going to be different every single kind of variable you change. So every time there's a different champion, it'll be different. But right now it's Kazakhs versus Zin. Now Kazakhs versus Zin is somewhat rough for Kazakhs early game because Zin has so much more dueling potential, right? Now, this doesn't mean that Kazakhs can't kill the Zin. He has more than enough damage to do so. It's just that he can't kill him fast enough because Zin has so much healing in his kit. So what we do is by coming and helping, we end up locking the Zin down so he can't auto and he can't get that healing off. But at the same time, we also end up making it so we can burst more in a shorter period of time. And Rakan's base damage is nothing too bad, you know, it's actually pretty decent. So yeah, and then, so why at this point now do you think the call was to go and help the Ziggs?
Because his wave is pushing out and he's gonna be very vulnerable.
Yeah. So when it comes to roaming, when you're playing these kind of hard roaming supports, they are extremely good in solo queue. So obviously this Ezreal was a bit... he just got out, but that's fine. So in solo queue, roaming permanently is very, very good. The only thing you can't do is leave your ADC to get like hard punished by it. So if the wave is slow pushing in, why do you think we need to help them crash? What's going to happen if we're not there and they try solo pushing it?
Because he's going to end up overextending on his own.
Yeah,
and then
that's one thing.
They might just 2v1 him or jungle ganked.
Now, for the sake of going over the theory, let's change this ADC to, say, Lucian. Why is it very, very important that we help this wave get pushed into the tower specifically?
Not exactly sure. Okay. For a Lucian,
no problem,
because his range is very short, so
again,
so it's even more danger.
Yeah, the main variable I'm kind of trying to hit on is wave clear, because if we don't come and help this slow push, what's going to happen is Ezreal is going to hold it. It's not going to freeze, but he's going to be able to hold the wave for so long that Ziggs just, well, let's say Lucian won't be able to break that freeze, and then again they open themselves to ganks. The 2v1, they can't really do anything while you're roaming, right? So obviously Ziggs does have a little bit of wave clear. This is why I kind of wanted to change that variable a little bit to get the theory across, but that's the main kind of reason, because, you know, if you don't help them get that wave in, then they're going to get punished, and while you're roaming, they're going to get shut down entirely. Now again, this Ziggs isn't really playing this lane all too well. And he also doesn't realize that you want to roam, so he wasn't actually putting anything into the wave. But but yeah, this is fine. Just a little bit of a trade, which is always good, because obviously we have very long range poke as well. So going for these little trades while the waves are even is okay. Because if he continues the trade and runs into you, which he has been doing most of this game, your minions will target him and it's fine. But also, as Rakan, you have so many shields that, you know, you can tank a bit of minion aggro. This is also why we make sure that we take the armor in runes, because the minions do physical damage. So your shield will last longer inside a wave, so you can go a little bit more aggressive, you know.
Yes.
So this was a little bit unfortunate. So we just weren't really taking into consideration that they're 6 already. So here we just kind of want to let the Ziggs clear this, get the cannon as well with our support stack, just because, you know, we can't really do much. And now that we die there, the thing is with this as well is the cost of us dying is way too high, right? Because these minions are now gone. So the cost of us dying here is way too high. So it's okay though. We can have a little bit of a grief moment here or there. It's no problem. But yeah, so when you're running out of base, you always want to try and run through mid, to be honest, especially when you've got your boots, because you're so quick. And you want to decide, where do I need to be on the map right now? Where can I have the most amount of pressure in this current moment? So obviously Kha'Zix is there, but Herald is available. So as soon as you come out of base, you need to be going, okay, well, I'm gonna focus this Herald out, and I'm gonna go towards that, because that's the next objective on the map. And again, Ziggs' wave is a little bit doomed, but he does have mana to just clear at this point. So it's okay. It's one of the reasons why Ziggs is one of those variables I wanted to change, because he can kind of push that wave out alone, which is why he's good with a lot of the roaming sports. But overall, it's just a theory that we want to make sure we know. Now, Kha'Zix, this was actually a good call by him, to be honest, because after you've killed this Yone, you can go back to the Herald anyway. The Herald is a mutual objective, so it's something that is never gonna, you're not gonna get punished by stopping it. And same as like camps, if you're a jungler, you're not gonna get punished by stopping doing the camps. But right here, the Yone is overextended like crazy, and he had ints here. So even though the Urgot did die, we kill the Yone. Kha'Zix gets a huge wave, which is also important because it's very good for him. And now we just get Herald anyway. So here, Kha'Zix just insta uses the Herald mid, which not too great, but we get to clear these wards out, which is good. So this one as well, we did just want to go and clear this pink away, because here, so right here, this was a little bit grief by us, to be honest, because as a champion like Rakan, we really don't need gold. Like, gold is nice, don't get me wrong, but we really don't need it. Our kit is perfect to support the game, right? So it's kind of like our job is to keep people alive, and one of the ways that we can keep people alive is them having so much gold that they can kill the enemy faster. So we are not required to keep them alive as long or as much if they're doing more damage, right? Same theory with like tanks. If you're playing something like Sejuani jungle, and you've got, say, 2 items already, and then you've got, say, a Jinx ADC, you can just let her clear every single camp in your jungle, and you don't really need the tank stats, because you will kill the enemies faster than they can kill you, even with less gold, because the Jinx will do more damage, right? So it is a little bit of relying on your own team, which in these elos, I think you can actually start doing that just a little bit more, because obviously you are pushing into that master tier, so putting a little bit more trust in your team's okay. If this was, say, a gold session or a silver session, it'd be different advice, but at this point, yeah. So what you could do here is you could just W over, clear this control ward away, let Kha'Zix get the full 320 gold, and he's just got an extra kill, right? So, so here we do come to this dragon. Did we get killed here? No, we didn't. We just instantly rushed it because the Seraphine and the Yone are dead. Always make sure you check these brushes as well, just as you walk through. So this was fine. We managed to get a dragon, which was good. Again, we just go and help Ziggs push this wave out, again for the same concept. If we help him push this in, then the wave is, because Ezreal's there, the wave is going to reset. But then as soon as Ezreal starts putting damage into the wave, it'll pull back into the Ziggs and he can farm it safely. Obviously, if this was a bigger wave, we'd crash it, and then what would happen is it'd slowly come back, and then ideally Ziggs could freeze it here, but, it's not too big of a deal. Kindle Gem is extremely valuable as well. It's just a lot of HP, and CDR. Haste on Rakan is extremely valuable, but against here, we walk out of mid, and we're like, okay, where do we go? Bot lane's pulling in, as we can see. So we just go into top lane with the... I don't know who was pinging you here, Kha'Zix, I guess. Kind of weird, I don't know. Yeah. But we just start walking up, and if nothing comes out of it, we help push the wave in, and then we just go and get some deep vision, right? So right here, Kha'Zix is in the top side of his jungle, and we have plenty of mobility, right? So if we are in any danger here, Kha'Zix can get to us very, very easily. So it's okay for us to walk up and get vision. So here, that's where we do. We get it here. So when you don't know where the jungler is, it's completely fine to just get it on the edge. It's completely fine, because this is only to see this area and just see them walking up here or walking to Blastcon over. So as long as it covers both of them areas, the ward is completely fine. It's viable. Here we lock this guy down. Kha'Zix comes again because he's in the area, just insta kills him. We do die here because Zerathal, but, you know, Kha'Zix gets 2 kills for just 1 death, and we use Zerathal too. So, and Seraphine as well for that. So the amount of cooldowns we use, completely fine. Kha'Zix manages to get out. Again, we're just going to kind of walk up into these areas and just kind of hover the Kha'Zix wherever he wants to go, because he's the main carry right now, and we just want to kind of utilize and kind of use his lead as much as possible. So now here, this was a point we could have gone a little bit more aggressive, just because we have ultimate and that E. So right now the Z is coming around the back. We get a ward here, which is good, and then we see the Yone. And this first E was okay, but what we could have actually done here is E'd back and W'd on top of them with our ult, and then just ran away, right? Because when we're charmed, there's nothing that they can do. When they're charmed, I mean. So right here, see, we could have actually caught this Yone, because look at how overextended he was. It was really out of position. Now, another point that I wanted to bring up here is just your camera control. So we're getting, I refer to it as a heavy thumb. So we've got a little bit of a heavy thumb on that spacebar right now. Because right here, so in this area, what is important to you right now? What are you seeing here of importance?
Just I want to move my camera down more, because that's where the action is happening.
Yeah, so you kind of want to see it as like, if you were to say go to an art gallery and take a picture of, say, the Mona Lisa, you'd want that Mona Lisa in that main frame, right? All the action you want in that main frame. Kind of the same with League. You always want all of the action in your main frame, because you can see on the minimap where you are, and you can also click, even if, say, this is off screen, so say this is top of the screen right now and you can't see you still know where you are on the minimap, right? And you can still click in these areas to get in there. So it's not like you can only click where your camera is, but here, see, we don't actually see on our screen that the Yone is way out of position, so we don't know to go back in. So that's kind of the main kind of thing here. And now another thing is, now the fight's starting, where we're panicking to move our camera, right? So so yeah, so again, we just hover the Kha'Zix as much as possible. Now this game does get a little bit messy mid-game. Again, ward positions, making sure that you just ward up this entire area so that we have a safe route to escape is very, very important. So having this kind of safe escape route is always good, just because we know that there's no way that anybody is in this jungle, so we're just safe to get out. There was also a ward spot, I think we've gone past it actually. So this Baron was a really, really good call. And there was also a time where we walked in this jungle for deep vision, and I think we put our ward here, right?
Yeah, right.
So this doesn't really do too much. So one of the main things that you want to do with wards is you want to get as much value of the areas that they provide vision of as possible. So here, if you put it here, for example, there's 4 routes, actually, like, there's all of these routes to that area, right, which you will get a bit of vision of no matter what. Whereas here, we're only getting a little bit here, a little bit there. It's not as much. Obviously, this is mirrored, so on this side, this is exactly the same here as it is here. On this side, for example, here is the exact same as here. So yeah, just try and get as much kind of area covered with your wards as possible. You did do some good wards later on into the game. For example, you put one here, which is good because that reveals this area as well. So you get more vision running up, whereas this one doesn't. So yeah, there was some good ones. And then obviously these team fights, at this point, you've got the Kha'Zix so fed that you just have to kind of go ham. When you're ahead, you want to just fight over and over and over. Make sure that your waves are kind of dealt with, but if we just continuously fight when we have a gold lead, the chances of us winning those fights are way, way higher, whereas the chances then are way lower, right? What will happen, especially in these elos, is we'll get into this position where the enemy team, or even say the Xin Zhao, he'll die once, and then he will try and fight again, right? And he'll try and fight again, and then he'll just die again. Because if he lost the fight the first time, he's not going to win the fight the second time. But
you're right.
In these elos, this happens over and over. So if you just keep forcing these fights, you force them to think, oh, I have to fight, instead of just farming up to get their gold and get to, you know, a stabilized position. So you can just keep forcing the fights over and over and over. And before you know it, it's just impossible for them to win the game. Like, look at this Urgot. Like, he just absolutely shreds this guy, and it's not even close. And then obviously we can get the dragons, stuff like that. Obviously we're just following the Kazakhs throughout the jungle here, which is obviously very, very good. And so here, one thing that we want to do is we want to commit to this straight away, right? Because there's a dragon coming up, and the more people that we kill, the better. So what we want to do is, since we already are going to use our flash here, it's completely fine. What we want to do is, so another reason for this as well, this does seem a little bit grief in some situations, but this is where we have to take the variables into consideration, right? Because if we manage to catch this Seraphine, we've just seen the Xerath is here, right? So if we catch this Seraphine and Kha'Zix gets an assist, he's got evolved E at this point because he's level 11. So he's going to get the kill on her, and then he's going to be able to jump over this wall and also get the kill on Xerath. So our flash might seem like it's only for the support, but it's actually for the support and the mid laner, you know what I mean? So here, we just instantly commit, flash over here straight away, gets here, W her, completely good. He only needs to get a W off and it's fine. Just because then we could have got the knock-up as well. But see, and now Kha'Zix gets another jump, and he get the Xerath 2. I mean, if he played it right anyway. Or if we would have played it right, actually. If we would have killed Seraphine a little bit sooner and he didn't have to kind of walk a little bit further for her, you know? And then we would have got him 2. So
I think that's one of my biggest problems right now, the indecisiveness.
Yeah,
this is something, but I'm not confident to do it.
This is what I said earlier. So this is kind of a thing. Just like, don't be afraid of, in these situations, just pushing your limits just a little bit, you know. Like, because at the end of the day, like, the Kha'Zix is already super fed. This is why Rakan is so good as well, because he's so slimy. He can escape all of the time, right? Like, he's so good for it.
Yeah.
So here, again, this was fine. You can take these wards safely because you have your W to just jump out if anything goes bad. So, and then here again, we're just looking to get these fights. You know, again, fight. Look at Zen, he's still trying to fight in these situations. Just makes the game extremely easy. And as Rakan, as somebody, you've got so many shields, so many forms of CC, you're just extremely strong. Here we get the Baron. So here, if the Kha'Zix didn't reset, we could have walked with him. But as soon as we see them resetting, when it comes to Baron, once we get Baron, we either all reset or none of us reset. So if you see the majority of your team resetting, just go with them. Even if it's just to get HP back, it's still important. And yeah, just play around that. So this was one of the only kind of points in this game now that was a little bit misplayed. So here, right now we're walking into uncharted territory, right? So first up, you want to get a ward in here straight away to see them. Which we do actually. Actually, it was a bit earlier. Oh yeah, sorry, it was earlier. It was here. So right now we don't see them. It's uncharted territory. So what we want to do is we just want to play it safe, right? We want to walk up to this point, get a ward in this brush, and then once we know they're not there, walk up to here, get a ward here. We know they're not there, walk up to here, get a ward on dragon. And now we've got a pathway of wards so that anybody else now can follow us around and get here. And then maybe we can go up to here, get a ward there as well. You know what I mean? Like, so we then end up with these kind of, our 4 wards are in really, really good positions. Obviously the dragon one would be a pink. Whereas I said, we kind of woke up and it was like we were hesitant, which we're hesitant for the right reasons here. But then yeah, again though, we can get out very, very easily. And then here, we just wanted to sidestep back here. Or actually, we just wanted to walk up and just get to this wall. Just because we're the only ones here, but again, our main damage dealers are right there, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to come up, E over, and then, you know, we could use our W later. So this fight was a little bit rough. This was just 2 split. Everybody was split off. We were quite low on HP as well.
Yeah, right.
This fight overall was just a very split fight. It was a little bit messy, but then we had the final fight, which here we're just running to try and help him. Again, Seraphine came and gave him movement speed, and then he kind of griefed a little bit, but we're still going to try and save him. Seraphine ult. So this is one of the reasons why Rakan's very good in Seraphine as well, because if you ult before she does, and you run into her and she doesn't move, then you'll actually charm her.
Yeah, right.
But then yeah, it's like, okay, he's going to die for it. It's fine, we get out. This way we just we should just look to probably reset in that moment because there's nothing for us to do. just so that we have max HP coming out. Plus we also did have 1100 gold for our item. But yeah, this was the last fight, so this was pretty good. We just kept Urgot alive. At this point, Urgot's a very tanky boy. He's very big. Unfortunately, we did get knocked up by that Yone, but again, we managed to charm the Xin Zhao that stopped him really doing anything on the Urgot. And then we just want to sit out of range, just waiting, and then see, as soon as we see them split here, we instantly go back in and help him out. So if they were all grouped in this area, we wouldn't be able to, and we'd have to play a bit safe, but once they're grouped, it's fine. And then again, big fight, went pretty well. We managed to keep the Urgot alive so long, especially because, again, we got Putrefier, so the build path was really good because stops the Xin Zhao healing, and then we managed to end the game. So, yeah, so obviously there was quite a few things here. I'll stop this recording and put it on YouTube later.